Om Sang Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Namaste, everyone. On page 301, the 5 sons of Pandu returned to Hastinapura. Kunti returned to Hastinapura along with her 5 sons, where Bhishma welcomed them home. Dhritarashtra, the king, gave the order that the sons of his brother should experience no difficulties and will be treated as members of the royal family. But Duryodhana replied, "Those forest-dwelling hermits have no place in my palace. This is my house, and they have no right to stay here." Gandhari said to the king, "Please explain to our son that this is their house too. They have every right to be here. Even Yudhishtira is the oldest son of the authorized king. This kingdom rightfully belongs to him. Please remember, my husband, that your brother Pandu gave you that crown to wear on his behalf. And please explain this to our son." Dhritarashtra replied, "Gandhari, if I hadn't been born blind, then the kingdom would have been rightfully mine. How can I convince my son when I myself am not convinced? He is the oldest son of the king. How can I tell him that this is not his kingdom? Why should he be deprived of his birthright just as I have been deprived of mine? He was not born blind. Anyway, I will try to instruct him to live in harmony." But Duryodhana would not listen. When the boys became a little older, Bhishma sent all the boys to study with Kripacharya, the family guru. Kripacharya said, "Yudhisthira, you are the oldest of the students, and therefore Yudhisthira is the oldest of the students, and therefore he will be in charge of the group." This made Duryodhana very angry, and he began to plot how he could get rid of these 5 brothers. Gandhari's older brother, Shakuni, was also very angry with Hastinapura. He had wanted his sister to become the wife of Pandu, and not the blind brother Dhritarashtra. Now Shakuni wanted Duryodhana to become the king, and he kept trying to poison the mind of the child. He often told him, "Your father should have been the king, but he was born blind. His younger brother took the kingdom in his place. But you are the oldest son of the king. Who should take the kingdom in your place? You must make sure that the sons of Pandu don't take the kingdom away from you as their father did from your father. You are the rightful successor to the king." Everyone knew that Yudhishtira, the son of Dharma, was the eldest son of the family and the son of the first king, and therefore the rightful heir to the kingdom. Not only was he the rightful heir, but also he was the most suitable and fit for guiding the nation. One day, when they were still children, Duryodhana invited Bhima, the second son of Pandu, to eat rice pudding, in which he had mixed poison. Bhima fell unconscious and was thrown into the river. When he sank into the river, some Nagas from underneath the water came and took him to the king of the Nagas. They said, "This boy was given poison." The king of the Nagas looked at the boy and said, "Whose son are you?" Bhima replied, "I am the son of Kunti." The king of the Nagas said, "Kunti is my granddaughter." He immediately brought an antidote to the poison and fed it to Bhima, who was freed from the poisonous effect. Then he took a great elixir and said, "Drink this, my son. This will give you the strength of 10 elephants. Bhim drank it down. "Now you had better go back home because your mother will be worried about you." Bhim returned to his home and told his brother, "Duryodhana invited me to eat rice pudding, from which I got very sick. Then they pushed me into the river where the Nagas found me. They told me he had put poison in the pudding. I met our great-grandfather, who gave me something to drink, which he said he will give me the strength of 10 elephants. Yudhisthira said, "Make sure nobody else knows anything about this. Don't tell anyone anything." Dronacharya became the teacher of weaponry for all the students. Of all the students, he loved Arjuna the most, because Arjuna was always so cooperative and willing to learn. He practiced with his bow in the day and in the night, and Arjuna became a master of archery. In this way, the boys grew up all together in the hermitage, guided by Dronacharya, but there was always a tremendous amount of animosity and fear between the sons of Pandu and those of Dhritarashtra. When the boys graduated from school, their guru conducted a great convocation to show the citizens of Hastinapura what his students had learned. Each of them displayed their prowess with the various weapons they had studied. Arjuna shot arrow after arrow. He made it rain. He made the wind come. He made the fire burn with the strength of his arrows. Dronacharya said to the assembly, "I hereby declare that in all of India there is no finer archer than Arjuna." Suddenly there was a voice saying, "Stop, Dronacharya! You have not given me a chance to display my prowess." "Who are you, young man?" "My name is Karn." "Who is your mother?" "If you want to judge who is the best archer in India, don't ask who are my mother and father. Don't look at my birth or my parents. Look at the way I shoot the bow. Look at the way I shoot my arrows." Tripacharya replied, "No, this convocation is only for the children of kings and princes and not for anyone of any caste or any discipline. You are not allowed to show your strength here." Duryodhana approached Karna and said, "I can tell you are a fine warrior, and I want you to be my friend. In my childhood, my father made me the king of Angadesh, and I give that kingdom to you in exchange for your friendship." Karna said, "What generosity! I pledge that for all of my life I will be your friend. This crown is for you, and the head that wears this crown is for you. You are the person who spoke up for me in my defense, and I will give my life for you." And thus Karna and Duryodhana became very good friends. While Duryodhana was always plotting how he could get the kingdom and be appointed the crown prince, Karna was desirous of being acknowledged as the greatest archer in India. Yudhishtira continued in his path of dharma, and all of the advisors, the counselors, and citizens of Hastinapura worried over who will become the next king. Yudhishtira becomes the crown prince. Some time passed. Bhishma came to Dhritarashtra and said, "King, it is time to appoint the crown prince." Dhritarashtra was most terrified of this time. He kept putting it off until he could wait no longer. Summoning all into the great assembly hall, he had to bow to the pressure of the community and the elders and appointed Yudhishtira the next king. Duryodhana fumed with anger. He couldn't wait until he found a way to get back at Yudhishtira. With the help of his uncle Shakuni, he prepared a great palace in the forest made of pine pitch, hoping to entrap the 5 brothers in the burning cinders. He went to his father, King Dhritarashtra, and said, "Father, why don't you send Yudhisthira to the forest retreat to meet all the citizens of the forest?" Dhritarashtra agreed, "That's a wonderful idea." Duryodhana said, "Why doesn't he take his 4 brothers with him? They can all accompany him. Even his mother Kunti can go along too. Then all of the citizens will meet their new king as well as the royal family. Not only that, I have personally prepared for them a new palace where they will be extremely comfortable." Nice and warm and toasty. Dhritarashtra said, "How very thoughtful you are. Please call Yudhisthira." Yudhisthira came and the king gave him the order. "You sons of Pandu go to the forest, all 5 of you, along with your mother. Spend some days with the forest-dwelling citizens of our country." Yudhisthira was most pleased to receive this order. He was equally pleased to learn that Duryodhana had prepared a palace for his stay along with his family. And then Yudhisthira proceeded into the forest with his family, and they went to the new palace. "This palace has only 1 door and no windows," they said to each other. "This is very strange." Then Vidur, the prime minister, found out about the plot to burn the entire Pandava family in the house made of pitch. He sent them a tunnel digger. The digger came and said, "Vidur has sent me to prepare an escape route for you. I must go about my work very quickly and quietly." All day and all night he dug until he prepared the tunnel. Then one day, Duryodhana sent the signal. Tonight is the night. Just as those enemies were about to set the house on fire, Bhim called to Yudhishtira, "They have come. When they enter, we will set the house on fire ourselves." Kunti, along with the 4 Pandavas, went into the tunnel and began their walk to safety, while Bhim took a torch to light the fire. All of those people who had come to set the house on fire were trapped inside as the house burned. Then Bhim descended into the tunnel, and the 5 brothers made their escape from the burning house along with their mother Kunti. Bhim and Arjun were adamant that they would not stand for this insult to the Pandava family. This is no way for family members to behave. To build a palace made out of pine pitch with no doors nor windows through which they could escape. Bhim and Arjun decided immediately, "Let's attack Hastinapura." "No," said Yudhisthira. "Don't you realize that when we attack Hastinapura, our Pitamaha Bhishma, the great-grandfather, will have no other recourse but to defend the throne? Don't you realize that our Guru, Dronacharya, will have no alternative but to defend the kingdom? How about Kripacharya, the Guru of our family? Won't he too have to defend the kingdom? Will you lift up your weapons against our gurus, against our grandfather? Be patient." Then Mother Kunti said, "My children, Hastinapura has given us nothing but sorrow. Could we think that they would give our family a house made out of pine pitch in which to live? We have no need to return to Hastinapura. It's better that we remain as mendicants in the forest than to return to our capital city. Adhering to their mother's wish, the 5 Pandava brothers dressed in the white cloth of Brahmin ascetics and retired into the forest to protect the citizens of their country. The marriage of Draupadi. One day, the 5 brothers heard that King Draupadi was calling for the Swayamvara, the marriage ceremony of his daughter Draupadi. Draupadi was a divine princess, born from the sacred fire itself, and the Pandava brothers could not resist attending and witnessing the wedding ceremony of Draupadi. In the dress of Brahmins, they were invited into the assembly hall where the kings of India had congregated. King Draupadi announced, "I want my daughter Draupadi to be married to the finest archer in all of India." He took one wooden fish and had it attached as a revolving target on the ceiling of the assembly hall. He put one pot of water in the center of the hall and ordered, "Lift the bow, tighten its string in place, then the archer will look at the reflection in the water and shoot his arrow above to hit the eye of the revolving target." The kings of India took their turns trying to hit the target, but none was able to even lift the bow. Duryodhana tried, but he failed to lift the bow. Then Karna, the disciple of Parshuram, stood up. He lifted the bow, tightened the string in place, and took aim. And then Draupadi said, "Stop. I don't recognize you as a king. Even though your friend Duryodhana has given you a kingdom, you are still the son of a charioteer. I won't marry the son of a charioteer." Karna sat down. All the other kings took their turns and no one was able to lift the bow. Then Arjuna, dressed as a Brahmin, asked permission from his brother Yudhishtira. "Please, brother, may I take a turn?" Yudhishtira gave his blessings. Then Arjuna took up the bow. He looked into the water below, and he let the arrow fly right into the center of the target. The garland of victory was placed around his neck, and Arjuna won the bride. When Duryodhana learned that Arjuna had won the bride, he was both amazed and dismayed. He realized that the 5 Pandava brothers had not died in the fire. How is it that they are still alive? He drew his sword and raced forward to attack. Along with him came Karna and brother Dushashan. Duryodhana called to Draupadi, "This assembly is only for Kshatriya kings. How is it that a Brahmin has been allowed to enter? This is not according to the rules. This is an insult to the kings of India." Bhima said to Yudhishtira, "Yudhishtira, take Nakul and Sahadev and go away from here. I will keep them back." So Yudhisthira, Nakul, and Sahadev exited, while Arjuna guarded the bride, and Bhima stood as a pillar, not letting any others pass. Then Arjuna took the blessings of King Draupadi, and with his brothers they took their bride into the forest to make their escape. When Arjuna came to the hermitage, their mother Kunti was preparing food inside, and he called, "Mother, we won the most wonderful thing today." And mother called out from the kitchen, "Share it between the 5 of you." When Kunti turned to see what it was that they had brought, she was most surprised to find the Princess Draupadi. She became very angry and said, "What? Is a wife a thing that is possessed, to be won or lost according to fortunes of time? Or is she a partner who shares the innermost secrets of your heart? Now, how will you live so that your mother's word will not become false, and so that you do not disgrace this princess who has given her life to your care?" Just at that time, Krishna came. And when he was apprised of the situation, he explained, "This is no time for sorrow. Remember Draupadi in your last life, when you performed austerities for Lord Shiva, and when Shiva was ready to grant you a boon, you said, 'I want a husband who is the apex of Dharma, who is strong like several elephants, who is the greatest archer, the greatest swordsman, and has incomparable beauty.' Then Mahadev said, 'All those qualities can't exist in one man.' And you replied, 'Shiva, you asked me what I want, and I told you.' And thereupon he said, 'Tathastu, I grant you the boon.' Also remember, Draupadi, in your incarnation as Sita, when you were in prison in Ravan's Ashok Grove, again you prayed to Shiva and said, 'Give me my husband, give me my husband.' 5 times you repeated. Again, Shiva gave that blessing. So you see, you have nothing to be sad about now." So Draupadi became the wife of the 5 brothers, but actually she was the wife of Yudhishtira. 2 crown princes. The time had come for the 5 brothers to return to Hastinapura. In their absence, thinking that Yudhisthira had died in the fire, Dhritarashtra had appointed Duryodhana as the crown prince. When Yudhisthira and his brothers, along with Kunti and Draupadi, returned to Hastinapur, they were greeted with great respect by Bhishma, Vidur, Dronacharya, and Kripacharya. But Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana were not content to see them return. Now 2 crown princes have been appointed as heir to the throne, and Dhritarashtra had to make a decision as to who would be the next king of Hastinapur. Duryodhana went to his father and said, "Father, believe me, if you take away my birthright to this kingdom and steal away my right to give it to Yudhishtira, I am going to kill myself. I am the oldest son of the rightful heir to the throne, and there is no reason that you should take away my authority. You have already appointed me the crown prince. I will not allow Yudhisthira to have any portion of the kingdom." Yudhisthira, in consultation, said, "Dhritarashtra, you are the king. You are the eldest member of our family. The decision is yours. Whatever you decide, I will abide by that. All I want is harmony and peace in our family." The citizens, Bhishma, Vidur, the gurus, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, all voted in favor of Yudhisthira. But Dhritarashtra felt that he himself had been cheated out of the kingdom because of his blindness, and he didn't want his son to be deprived in the same way. Therefore, he decided to divide the kingdom in half. Duryodhana will stay here in Hastinapur, and the 5 Pandava brothers, led by Yudhisthira, will be given some land at the edge of the kingdom. Everyone was sad to see the kingdom divided. When Yudhisthira took his 5 brothers in procession to the land that they were given, they were led to a barren desert with no water whatsoever. It was a wasteland, devoid of life, which was apportioned as their half of the kingdom. The ancestry of Krishna. In days of old, Kashyap Muni was performing a great yajna and went to search for a beautiful cow whose milk would be suitable for this sacrifice. As he searched and searched, he came upon Varuna's cow, who was like the Kamadhenu, the cow which yields the fruits of all desires. Kashyap thought that the milk from that cow would be the best with which to offer to the gods in sacrifice, and therefore he took the cow. When Varuna came home, he noticed the cow was missing and began to search for his cow. He found the cow near the Havan Kund, the sacrificial fire, where Kashyap was performing sacrifice along with his two wives, Aditi and Diti. Varuna became angry, and taking some water in his hand, he cursed all three of them. You have such greed for cows that you have become thieves. Go down to the world of men and give birth to a coward. With that, Varuna threw the water at them, and the curse became binding upon all three. Sometime later, Aditi gave birth to the noble Indra, who grew stronger and stronger until he was recognized as the king of the gods. Then Diti said to her husband Kashyap that she too would like to have a son. Kashyap Muni told Diti to practice a very sincere vow of discipline, and when Diti undertook the vow, she became pregnant. She began to grow in a motherly way, and her body radiated the light of her purity. Then Aditi told her son Indra, my son, if you desire my welfare, find some way to destroy the fetus in your stepmother's womb. My son, I am very much afraid that her son will become more powerful than you, and also that her husband will love her more. Therefore, devise some plan by which we can cause the demise of her child. One evening, just after her meal, Indra went to Diti and said, Mother, I know you're extremely tired from the austerities that you've been keeping. Please let me rub your feet. And Diti replied, you are very kind, but I have not yet completed all the functions of my vow. First, I must wash my mouth after eating, and then I must clean before I can take a rest. And Indra said, Mother, you look so tired from all of your privations. Just let me rub your feet a little while, and then you can complete your work. Indra began to rub her feet. And after a short time, Diti fell asleep. As she had not observed her vow, it became Indra's chance. He adorned himself with his subtle body and entered into Diti's womb. Then he took his thunderbolt and cut the fetus into 7 parts. Then he cut each of the 7 parts into 7 more parts, and thus the 49 Maruts were born. When Diti woke up, she realized what had happened. She became very angry and cursed Indra that his dominion no longer would extend over all the 3 worlds. From now on, he would be lucky to maintain his sovereignty over the heavens. Even his puja would not be performed on the earth. Understanding that it was the fault of Aditi, she cursed Aditi as well and said, your sons will die no sooner than they come out from your womb, and you will live in a prison experiencing fear and anxiety. The high-souled Kashyap Muni consoled Diti by telling her that her sons would be very powerful and famous beings. They would become good friends with Indra and would help him in protecting the realms of heaven. Certainly your curse will come to fruition. Varuna Dev has ordered the three of us to earth, but you will be free while Aditi lives in a prison, said the Muni. But the story of Krishna's ancestry goes back even farther in time. From Brahma's heart, a son named Dharma was born. He was truthful and always engaged in performing the rites and ceremonies of the Vedic religion. Dharma married Daksha's 10 daughters, and together they had 4 sons: Hori, Krishna, Nara, and Narayana. All 4 were the manifestations of Vishnu. Hori and Krishna remained in divine yoga, while Nara and Narayana manifested upon the earth and went to Badrinath to practice tapasya. Nara and Narayana and the birth of Urvashi. Nara and Narayana engaged in such austerities that Indra became afraid. He sent the entire host of heaven to try to break the meditation of the meditating sadhus. Spring went and caused a warm breeze to blow across the snow-capped mountains, while the host of heavenly apsaras, celestial maidens, began to sing softly and to dance, making amorous gestures. Love hid behind a tree, waiting for the opportunity to shoot his arrows. Nara and Narayana awoke from their meditation and thought it was very strange for the winter to have passed so suddenly. Then they saw 10,000 beautiful heavenly maidens coming towards them, making seductive gestures. And Narayan immediately recognized this to be the work of Indra. He became angry and he slapped his thigh, and out of the thigh came the most beautiful Urvashi. Urunivash Kuriyate iti Urvashi. She who resides in the thigh. Seeing the radiant beauty of Urvashi, the heavenly ladies were put to shame. You tell Indra, called Narayan, that if we were interested in physical pleasures, we could arrange our own. Thank him very kindly for thinking of us, but he can arrange seduction for others, not for us. Take this lady Urvashi back to Indra as a present from 2 sadhus who are repulsed by his jealous behavior. To think this is the king of the gods? The 10,000 ladies from heaven were extremely impressed by the power of the self-control of the 2 sadhus. "Oh, Munis," they said, "we had no idea of the power of your tapasya. Indra sent us here to disturb your meditation, but please do not be angry with us. We take refuge in you and ask for your mercy." "I'm not angry with you," replied Narayan. "You are only doing your appointed task. You have no need to ask for mercy from us. Ask for boons." Then those 10,000 ladies said, "Oh, Narayan, never have we seen such generosity on the part of anyone. Not only are you strong and handsome, but you are fixed in self-control and generous. If you will be so kind as to grant us boons, then all of us would like husbands like you. Will you please marry us all? What other boon could we request?" Narayan answered, "You can see that in this life we are busily engaged in performing tapasya. Therefore, we will be unable to fulfill your desires at present, but since I have already granted a boon in the Dwapar Yuga, in the form of Krishna, I will come to satisfy your desires. Now, you return to heaven with this Urvashi, and tell Indra that I will marry you sometime in history at my convenience. Tell him to leave me alone until then. The curses of the Shadgarbha. Swayambhuva Manu had 6 sons by his wife Purana. One day, Brahma looked at Saraswati very amorously and became filled with passion. Saraswati was somewhat taken aback to see her father in such a condition, and she started to run away. Brahma forgot himself and ran after her. She saw that he was serious, and she began to run very hard. She ran right past those 6 sons of Swayambhuva Manu, followed by her father, Brahma, in hot pursuit. When those 6 sons saw Brahma's condition, they started to laugh. Look at that old man filled with passion, chasing his own daughter around the heavens. Is there any limit to the egotism of man? Can you imagine an old man like that, so enamored that he wants to enjoy his own daughter? Can there be anything more ridiculous than that? Brahma was very embarrassed to have become the object of laughter of those boys. Then he said, "You don't understand what it is like to be under the dominion of desire. But you dare to laugh at an old man? I curse you! Be born in the form of Asuras." Brahma caught Saraswati, and among other distinctions, he was the first to marry his own daughter. Creative consciousness married knowledge. And the 6 sons of Swayambhuva Manu were reborn in the home of the demon Kalnemi. In their second birth, they incarnated in the home of the demon Hiranyakashipu. In this life, they remembered their curse by Brahma and performed severe austerities. Brahma became pleased with them and blessed them with invulnerability to gods, humans, Nagas, and Gandharvas. Because they received that boon from Brahma, their father, the demon King Hiranyakashipu, felt that his children had disregarded him. He became angry and cursed them. "You will be born one after another from the womb of Devaki. And your father from your previous birth, Kalnemi, will be reborn as the wicked Kams. And he will be a very wicked man and will kill you as soon as you take birth." And that was Hiranyakashipu's curse to his 6 sons. What Ashura wants divine children born in his own house. Yeah. Let's see if there are any questions. Please.
A question about Krishna is translated as the doer of all.
Yes, from Kri, to do.
And Karna also is a similar sounding word. What is the difference between the two?
Karna does with attachment and Krishna does for all. So Karna is not free from attachment, whereas Krishna is. And Krishna is not only the doer of all, but he is the cause of all doing. He is also the creator of all perception. He is the cause of rishis, Ka plus rish, Krish. The Ka is the cause, the Karan, and the Rishi is the perceiver who perceives again as Ishwar sees, is the cause of that is Krishna. So he's the doer of all, the cause of all doing, and the recipient of all action as well. Now Karn is bound by his action and he is attached, and Krishna is free in action.
Swamiji, a question from Nanda from San Jose.
Namaste, Nandama.
Namaste Swamiji. When we talk about Shiva and Shakti, we talk about two forces revolving around each other mutually and reciprocally. What does it mean then when a rishi like Kashyap has 2 wives or Draupadi has 5 husbands? Is marriage not a one-to-one relationship like Shiva and Shakti? Please help us understand. Thank you.
Marriage is according to the definition that you defined. And whatever you define in your scope, that is your marriage. That's your relationship. Shiva and Shakti say that they're inseparably connected. It is impossible to distinguish one from the other. Now, Draupadi became the wife of Yudhishtira, but she was the Shakti to the entire Pandava family. In the case of Kashyap Muni marrying so many, the 13 daughters of Daksha, that was the custom in those days because Daksha Prajapati was cursed that he would have no sons. And having no sons, he had all these daughters. He had 51 of them. Where am I going to put them all? What am I going to do with them? He gave 10 to Dharma. He gave 27 to the moon, to Chandra. He gave 13 to Kashyap, and he gave 1 to Shiva. So that was his solution to the problem. Daksh was only, and he is filled with the egotism of ability, because Daksh means ability. And who is the manifestation of ability is proud of his talents and skills and capacities. So Daksh he just wanted to divest himself of the problem. That was his only consideration. So that was the definition that he gave to the marriage of his daughters. But in our Devi Mandir, we only perform the Divya Vibha. Remember, there are 5 kinds of marriage. Actually, there's 7, but we don't have to deal with the lower 2. There are 5 kinds that we deal with. The Pisach, where the girl is stolen away by force. Ashur, where the girl is stolen away by deceit or trickery. Gandharva, where the boy and the girl decide to do it themselves. Prajapat, where the girl is the responsibility of the father and she has given to the husband, Kanyadan. And Divya Vibha, where the Shiva and Shakti are united as equals in an intrinsic relationship which is mutual and reciprocal. And excuse me, in the Devi Mandir, we only perform the Divya Vibha ceremony. We're not accustomed to giving the girl because she's not something that I have to give. If she belonged to me, boy, I'd keep her. So how can I give her if I don't own her myself?
The question from Parvati from Sacramento.
Namaste, Parvati Ma.
What is Devaki's ancestry?
We'll talk about that a little bit later as we get into the birth of Krishna. Very, very briefly, she comes from the lineage of Sursen, and she's a cousin of Kunti. So she's all related in the similar family, but a little bit distant.
Swamiji, you said that you talked about Sita being a previous
incarnation of Devaki. Of Draupadi.
Draupadi.
Yes.
Swamiji, is it Sita a form of Lakshmi?
Yes, she is.
So Draupadi is also?
Yes. You have a question?
Swamiji, you spoke very briefly about Karn getting the kingdom as a gift in exchange for the friendship.
Yes.
What is the significance of that in the relationship with?
Well, as you understand, Karn was the son of the charioteer. And we're going to find out later in the story when Kunti took her first son and put him in the basket, and the basket floated down, it was pulled out of the water by the charioteer. And the plot thickens. We don't know that yet.
a parent name their son Duryodhan or evil thought?
Because this entire scripture is an epic which tells the odyssey of the soul's evolution to heaven. The Pandavas, Pandu means pure, clear, devoid of prejudice, without any color of its own. And Dhritarashtra actually means who perceives, or controls, who is the steadfast ruler of the Rashtra, of the nation. Duryodhan means the defender of evil. So here are the sons of clarity fighting against the defender of evil in order to satisfy the whim of the who is steadfast, obstinate in ruling his nation. Now look in your own nation and watch this battle going on. Look inside your country and see who is the obstinate ruler of your nation, who's stubborn, that stubborn Swami character, who doesn't want to move over for anyone, who won't stop talking, doesn't listen. And he's not going to accept that the sons of clarity and purity and light, who have no prejudice of their own, will do what they're told. Anything I decide they're going to do, and he's not going to make a place for them in his kingdom. He's going to let the defender of evil push those sons of clarity out. How many times does that happen to us all? Look inside this Mahabharata, this great battle for the land where the light of wisdom always shines, Bharat. This great battle for the land where the light of wisdom always shines is constantly going on inside of us every decision we make. Every time there is a debate going on between the forces of clarity and purity and light and the defender of evil. There's a Mahabharata going on right inside, and now here we are challenged to empower our sons of light, to empower our forces of clarity so that they can overcome the defender of evil. And that's why he is named the defender of evil, because he lives here and perhaps in all of us.
Usha from Canada is asking if could you please reiterate the symbolic meaning of the 5 Pandava brothers?
Yes, Ushama, they stand for all the 5s. And those are the 5 senses, the 5 great elements of constituent elements of creation, the 5 organ, Gyanendriyas, Karmendriyas, Tanmatras, the Mahabhutas, all the 5s. Now, put all your 5s in the state of clarity, in the state of purity, where they have no prejudice whatsoever, no color of their own. Just like Pandu the king. They reflect the color of as they see. They perceive what is and not what they think it to be or want it to be. Can you imagine if you could see through the eyes of clarity, without any prejudice, without any color? You would see what is actually. And therefore the perceiver is perceiving and understanding without judgment. Make the judgment later. Let's just take in the facts right now. And that's what these 5 brothers stand for. The unity of all the 5s.
Michael from Colorado says, Swamiji, I just can't seem to understand why all of these stories have all of these curses. How do they correlate this to our lives? Many thanks, Swamiji.
Namaste, Michael. Namaste, Karen. Michael, you see, all of these curses are going to come to us for the benefit of us all. Each one of the curses seemingly puts someone in a very poor position. But ultimately, they got to realize the most noble truth. So you'll see as all the curses manifest, it was really a blessing in disguise. And that's how we're finding in each of the curses. It was the greatest example, of course, Ahalya, who was cursed to become a stone because she didn't recognize her husband, Gautam Muni, and she slept with Indra in the disguise of Gautam Muni. And Gautam came and said, I'm going to curse you. You slept with Indra, you slept with another man, and she said, he looked exactly like you. How was I to know? He said, you didn't even look inside. You only looked at his appearance. I curse you. And she became a stone. And she remained a stone. And thousands of years later, Ram came to that ashram. He came with Vishwamitra and his brother Lakshman, and he said, Vishwamitra, what a crazy scene this is. It's all dilapidated, deserted, everything is rotten and ruined, and in the middle of the courtyard is this stone with a tulsi plant growing right out of the middle of the stone. I can't imagine, there's no life around anywhere, and here's a stone and a tulsi plant. And Vishwamitra said, everyone is competent to apportion blame to a wrongdoer, but only the touch of the pure can redeem the fallen. So put your foot on that rock. Ram put his foot on the rock, and the rock dissolved and became Ahalya. And she was redeemed from the curse, and she got up and she looked at Ram, and she said, I thought my husband had cursed me, but little did I know this is the greatest blessing I could ask for, to look into the face of God personally. What a privilege to have been cursed in such a way that I got the blessing to have the darshan face to face, to look right into the eyes of God. Michael, I believe every one of the curses as we read through the stories is going to redeem this philosophy. They all become blessings. They all become blessings.
Swamiji, question from Nilima from New Delhi.
Namaste, Nilima.
Namaste, Swamiji. Indra killed the fetus of Diti and cut it up to prevent birth of a more powerful man. Were the gods such as Indra not subject to fruits of karma?
They sure are, Nilima. And that's why we don't have very many temples to Indra. In fact, his worship is not widespread at all. Indra is often very much disregarded and disrespected amongst all people, especially even Krishna. Remember when all the citizens of Gokul were preparing to worship Indra, and Krishna came and said, what's the use of worshiping Indra? Then everyone said, his father said, his mother said, he sends the rain. And if we don't worship him, he won't send the rain. And Krishna said, that sounds more like a business deal. You do puja for me and I'll make it rain. He said, I don't want to worship a businessman like that. They said, well, who should we worship? They said, worship the cow. The cow gives us a nourishment. Worship the forest. Worship Mount Govardhanam. There's so many wonderful things to worship. Why worship Indra? Now, isn't that part of the curse of Diti? He was cursed and he received the fruit of his karma. And often Indra is the mind. And he rules the senses. He rules all the devas. He's the rule of the pure, of all the avenues of information. But sometimes doesn't our mind go astray? Sometimes. Maybe just mine. But I think sometimes the mind goes astray and he does the wrong thing and he makes the wrong judgment. And so that's why Indra even acts with jealousy and he acts with disdain, and sometimes he makes very poor value judgments. But we devotees, we can study this information and try to inspire ourselves to remember when we're faced with the same judgments. Can we make the right judgment, or will we fall? And if we do fall, where will we go to find ourselves again? How do you get picked up once you fall? You go straight to Napa, go to the Devi Mandir and say, "Hello, Srima," pick us up, brush us off, and put us on the path again. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha, Namaste. Are there other questions?
Swamiji, one question from Nanda.
Well, let's take it.
Namaste Swamiji, does our prayer Om Ambe Ambike Ambalike Nama Naiti Kashtana invoke the three sisters that were captured by Bhishma for his half-brother, or do they refer to different deities entirely?
A few different deities entirely. Ambe is the Sthula Sarir, Ambalike is the Shukshma Sarir, Ambike is the Sukshma Sarir, Ambalike is the Karan Sarir. So they are the three deities, the mother who appears in the gross body, subtle body, and causal body. Namaste, everyone. Thank you all for joining us, and have a beautiful day or night, depending on your time zone. Namaste.